I was sitting there and you just keep hearing the cash out noise, and it went up to like over $1,000. And I had to cancel the post, like, delete, like, you guys stop sending me money because this is like cool seeing all that money coming in, but you're like, but I have to execute this now.
Exactly.
And on my business page, now it's up to 61,000.
Okay.
I was excited to show you the process, like, yo, look how I'm doing these. So like, I was always filming videos and like showing behind the scenes footage, and that's another reason why I think people was like, oh, let me go over there, like, because people like seeing behind the scenes stuff. They like seeing how you make it and put it together and stuff like that.
Exactly.
My YouTube channel is now up to 36,000 followers, but like that January is when I got like a big rush of everybody just flowing in, and so this is just kind of my bounce back time.
Exactly.
Where I'm relearning everything.
Welcome back to the Let's Evolve for Tomorrow podcast. I'm your host, Tyrone, and we help aspiring, new, and existing entrepreneurs excel to the next level by inviting other aspiring, new, and existing entrepreneurs to the podcast to give knowledge and information on how to get to the next level. Today, we have another special guest, Shanna Banks with lovemeetscake. She's been in business for 10 plus years. Believe it or not, she has baked 5,000 plus cakes. Like, I couldn't believe it. We literally sat here before we started recording and did the math. 5,000 cakes. So I think the math was, what did we say? 40 cakes a month?
Yeah.
And then multiply that by, the number of months in a year, and then over the course of 10 years. So she has a lot of amazing experience. She's built a wonderful brand, some beautiful cakes, beautiful production. She has a great story to tell on how she got started, where she's at now, where her passion lies, and there's so many other great things that Shanna wants to share. But we'll go ahead and jump right into it without further ado. Shanna Banks.
Hello.
With lovemeetscake. How you doing?
Hi.
Good.
Good.
I appreciate you for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome.
So, tell us how you built such a successful business.
Initially when I started doing cakes just for fun, for therapy. It was just something to do in my spare time. I would bring cakes into work, and then after I saw everyone going crazy over them, then I kind of just got obsessed with the whole craft of trying to make pretty cakes. So after I got the recipes down packed, then I studied on YouTube by watching like countless hours of other decorators on how to ice cakes, how to pipe borders, do different designs, use fondant and things like that. Okay. So whenever I practiced a cake, I would put it on Facebook. People be like, oh, make a cake for my daughter. And it just kind of took off from there. So I would just always post pictures. And honestly, the way I think I grew so fast, for one thing, I started baking cakes in 2011, 2012.
Okay.
And honestly, during that time in Columbus, there was like only 5 of us custom cake bakers. Mm-hmm. And we knew each other because it wasn't many of us.
Right.
Like now it's heavily saturated, but I started early. Mm-hmm. So I started building a name for myself because I started early. So that is one, what I want to say, head start that I had above other people, because I kind of started building my brand when custom cakes wasn't really a thing in the city.
Okay.
So, and then I guess I just have such an excited personality because, first of all, I was excited about cakes because I'm surprised that I was good at something. Okay. Like I didn't even start baking cakes until I was 27. Wow. So I was always kind of like, what am I good at? And like, blah, blah, blah. So when this happened, I was like, oh, what? Like I'm good. Because I learned the technique really quick. Okay. Sometimes it could take people a long time to learn how to just do a simple ice and things like that. But I didn't like struggle in the beginning with learning how to ice cakes and decorate. Like it just came naturally. Mm-hmm. So I was always really excited, like when I would post a picture and I would just talk about cakes all the time. And I think people just fed off my energy because honestly, I didn't do any special marketing techniques in order to get followers. And I just always noticed over the years, people just gravitate to my page and people were like, how you do all this? I don't do anything special. Right. They just come over here. And honestly, I think it's just the excitedness that I have. I talk about cakes all the time. I post about cakes all the time. And I guess it's my personality. I just crack jokes all the time. So I honestly feel like because I'm a little bit more personable, mm-hmm. that people want to do business with me aside from people who don't really post their personality much. You just see pictures of cake and you don't know who it is behind the cake.
Okay.
So my personality, I think, inadvertently, I kind of intertwined into the cakes, and that's why people kind of gravitate towards me. So that's really how the whole building thing happened. It was by mistake. It was just something that just kind of naturally happened.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I went to your page. This had to be a couple of months ago, and I'm like, wow. I think you have 26,000 followers or something like that.
On my business page, now it's up to 61,000.
Okay, 61,000.
Yeah, that's on my Facebook business page.
Okay. Yeah, I seen that and I was blown away. But I wasn't surprised. And I wasn't surprised because you've done such amazing work. Like over the years, you've made some beautiful cakes. I mean, to where I would be in awe just looking at those cakes. So you said that you started baking. You brought some cakes to work. People started liking the cakes and it kind of went from there. Like, how did you even get into baking, period?
Just randomly one day when we were having a potluck.
Oh, that was the first time you baked a cake? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That little raggedy strawberry cake that I brought in with the strawberries dripping off. And the layers was all lopsided and stuff. That was my first time.
It was good.
Baking a cake.
It was good.
I mean, I've done box cakes as a kid, but like that was my first scratch cake.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So you started making these cakes. You started posting them. What was like that milestone or that turning point where your business just really just took off?
I mean, it's like over the years there were kind of a few moments where everything just starts zooming. I know one in particular. Maybe it was there were a few times, but I was on the news before. Well, I was on the news 3 times. I'll say that. So, of course, every time you're on the media, you get like a big rush of people coming in. So, Ohio Spectrum News did an interview, and then I was on Fox News dipping strawberries.
Okay.
I was on the radio before, so whenever that happened, you get a big wave of people. I started a YouTube channel. Now, this is something else because I know you asked how did I build my platform? Another thing of me, I guess, being so excited about cakes was I was excited to show you the process. Like, yo, look how I'm doing these. So, like, I was always filming videos and, like, showing behind-the-scenes footage. And that's another reason why I think people was like, oh, let me go over there. Like, blah, blah, blah. Because people like seeing behind-the-scenes stuff. They like seeing how you make it and put it together and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And, like, when you engage back with people like that type of thing. Because, like I said, it's a little different when you don't know who's behind the cake. You just see cake pictures. And they don't talk back to you. You have no idea their personality. So that's another reason why I think people wanted to, do business with me. And with me posting content before social media content creating was really a big thing, I ended up starting a YouTube channel in 2018 or 19. 2019. I started a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And at first, I was like, I got all these followers, and like, people are going to like follow my page. And when I was first posting it, nobody's really following me. I was like, y'all not, like, where y'all at? So people weren't really following me, and I wasn't getting really any views. So,
on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, well, forget it then. I guess this, didn't happen. And then in January of 2020, all of a sudden I'm getting all these notifications on my YouTube, like all these people are commenting and following. I'm like, what's going on? And I found out the cool thing about YouTube is they tell you what's kind of bringing these people in. And I guess it just happened that my hashtags or something matched the hashtags of another baker's strawberry dipping video who's going viral, and hers was going viral because it was Valentine's season. So treat makers are like on YouTube looking up new cool treats that they can hurry up and market and get out there. So that's the cool thing about YouTube. Your video can get hoisted because someone else's video is hoisted who you guys share the same hashtag, because they'll post it as related content.
Okay.
So I real quick was able to monetize my channel. My YouTube channel is now up to 36,000 followers. But like that January is when I got like a big rush of everybody just flowing in. And they're all looking at my old videos that I kind of quit on. Right. I was like, oh, here everybody is now. So
wait, how many followers on YouTube?
Now it's at 36,000.
36,000. So 60,000 on Facebook, 36,000 on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That's amazing.
So I started really loving the content creating thing because that's an area of, big money coming in, and you're just doing a cake that you're already making and you're just filming it, posting the video.
Exactly.
So I was like, yeah, so I want to do content creating. And then another thing is because I got so many followers like at one time kind of coming in, YouTube promoted me as one of their rising creator on the rise.
Okay.
So where they pretty much put you on their homepage.
Okay.
For 24 hours, but just in that 24 hours, like a whole bunch of people just start flocking over.
Yeah.
So I love the whole teaching. I love showing people how to do stuff. And I was liking the video making. What ended up happening is, of course, 2020, the pandemic happened, right? So that's another thing that helped my YouTube channel. It boosted right when in the pandemic, when everybody's like at home chilling.
Right.
So like that whole year, I was like getting mad views. But what was I gonna say? Oh, at the same time, so this is what happened with my business though during the pandemic. People started canceling all their cakes, of course, because they couldn't do their events. So then I'm like, oh, what do I do? Like, people were just canceling.
Right.
And I ended up coming up with, at the time I called it Mobile Bakery, because I was like, people are not having events and parties, so they're not ordering these big custom cakes. But people are at home wanting just a slice of cake.
Right.
So I started making dessert cakes, cutting them up in slices, and just so I made a website, just a little random website. There's not like too much intricacy to it. It's really basic and simple, but people can just go on there, order whatever cake slice they want for whatever day. I would post the pickup times, and at this time I leased a kitchen downtown. So I had a commercial kitchen space for a few years. So they would either come downtown, pick up the cake slice, and then I would post the delivery times, and me and a crew of people. Now at this time I had a crew because during the pandemic people didn't have jobs.
Right.
So they're like, "Is there anything we can do with the kitchen for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can be a delivery driver. Like I'll charge whatever I charge them for delivery. I'll give that to you." They're like, "Oh yeah." So I would have people come to the kitchen, deliver people stuff. I mean, it's pretty much like my own DoorDash type thing.
Exactly.
And during the pandemic, I made, like, it was hidden because I think the first time I posted something, I was like, you guys, I'm doing a strawberry crumble cheesecake, some cupcakes, like some peach cobbler pound cake slices. And I remember, and this is before I had my website. This is what made me do my website. I posted it on Facebook because I was like, $10 a slice. Everybody cash at me. Here's my cash app. I was sitting there, and you just keep hearing the cash app noise, and it went up to like over $1,000. And I had to cancel the post, like delete, like, you guys stop sending me money because this is like cool seeing all that money coming in, but you're like, but I have to execute this now.
Exactly.
And I have all these orders to do in the next 2 days. So I was like, oh, I can make big time money doing this. So that's why I got the website, so it can be a little more official and like easier for me to manage everybody's orders. You can set like a certain amount of orders, like I only want to do, 20 slices or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So everything took off from there with Mobile Bakery. I was having people deliver. So I was doing that. Well, I've been doing that big time since then because with dessert cakes, they take less time than custom cakes. And it's kind of like a higher profit margin because you don't have all these extra decor stuff that you have to buy, like floral and fondant stuff and thick cake boards that's really expensive. I just go to GFS or Amazon, order, the little containers in bulk, and I can charge $10 a cake. And I mean, like I was doing like 10-inch cakes, cutting about 10 slices out of the cake, and each slice was $10. So it was like $100 off of, one cake. And when it comes to just a dessert cake where you're just using butter, egg, flour,
right,
the cost is lower.
Right.
What makes costs higher is like the custom stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is what we're gonna be doing. That's pretty much how the most of the money I started like coming in. The other thing is, like I said, I have my YouTube channel. Because I'm really like going ham with the mobile bakery. Then I didn't have time to like edit my videos like I wanted. So it's like I started slacking on my YouTube channel. So like if you look at, you'll see like all my videos that I posted, like the first year is the one that has like all these like tons of views.
Right.
And then you see me take a break for a year and then maybe post something like 6 months later. So pretty much I kind of slacked on my YouTube channel. I kind of feel bad about that. Because I'm like, if I just stay consistent with that, that would have been like good money.
Did you ever consider like maybe sending it to someone else and paying them to edit it for you? Just send them the footage?
I definitely want to do that.
Yeah. So like maybe even, I'm assuming like Fiverr or something like that, just going to them, hire someone to say, hey, here's my video, chop this up.
I didn't know Fiverr did video editing.
Well, I'm assuming they do. They do everything.
They do a lot. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into that because I know eventually I would like a professional video editor because I just kind of do basic editing off of an app called CapCut.
Okay.
But also like on Facebook, I've started doing big content creating since Facebook pays now for monetization. So like I have a lot of my tutorial videos on there. Which I get paid. I mean, you know, it's extra money. It's not like $1 million, but it's good extra, a few hundred a month. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think there are some AI tools out there too that'll edit your video for you.
Oh yeah? Oh wow. Okay.
So let's go back, right? Obviously, you have an amazing craft, an amazing passion. You built a successful company. So when did you first get your business license? Was it after you made that first cake and people started coming to you saying, hey, can you bake me a cake?
No, it took a while because I didn't know. At that time, I thought I was just going to be doing it just for fun because I was working.
Okay.
I didn't get all that until maybe, 2017. Because I know someone was telling me, and it's like, I don't know this business stuff. I know in 2014 I tried. What I got was my EIN. Okay. And I thought my EIN was it. Oh. And so I was like, and then they were like, no, you. I was like, oh. So I got on there. I got my LLC and stuff. So yeah, it took a few years for that. But it's like I'm like, there's so much stuff. You know what I mean? That you have to get together. And so I didn't really know the whole process of that. But yeah. Okay. So that was in like 2017.
So 2017, you established your LLC. And your website, you said was 2020? Okay, so before then, you just used Facebook and YouTube to market your business.
And that's pretty much all I still use now.
Okay.
I really just post pictures on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, I kind of slowed down. I got mad at them because they weren't liking my stuff. So I was like, I ain't gonna post on Instagram. It just seems like I get the most engagement off Facebook. So, like, mostly Facebook, yeah, and word of mouth. Because I've had people ask me what sort of marketing techniques do I use. And, again, I don't use any sort of special marketing techniques at all to draw people in and get sales. I literally just post pictures and wait for people to come desire what they want. So,
okay. So, basically, it's all organic. And from what I understand, you were able to get all of these followers, all of these dedicated followers and people that were interested in your product because you were yourself. You were genuine, you showed your personality, and you made a good product. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about a key challenge throughout that process. Or has it always just been successful?
No, it was challenging the whole entire way. Okay. Even when I was making it look good. Okay. Because with custom cakes, it takes a lot in supply. So at first when I was starting off, I didn't have a business mindset. When I started doing it as a business, I was still going looking at it as a customer standpoint of saying I wouldn't want to pay that much for a cake. So when I priced stuff, I was pricing it low because I was like, I don't want to charge people that much. But I really wasn't. There's a lot of cakes I probably just did for free, honestly. And there's some stuff where I probably paid them to because I wasn't charging what I should have been charging. So that was one mistake out the gate. I just wasn't aware of how to price my business.
Okay.
When things started kind of picking up more and I started doing it full time, I got into more issues by running way too many sales. Because the cool thing about a sale is you can get a lot of people at one time to give you money for future orders. So when you first get that money, you're like, oh, I'm balling. And then you spend that money on your bills, and a couple months and then as the year progresses, you got to execute these cakes that's already been paid for at a discounted price. And then if you don't have the money for supplies, now you're like, I have to hurry up and get more money in. So now I got to run another sale real quick.
Right.
And next thing I knew, I'm booked up for the whole year with people on sales.
Oh, wow.
And it was so hard. And I just kept being, you know how like the payday loans feel like you're in it and you're in this cycle and you pay it back. And then you have to get another one. That's exactly how it felt.
Gotcha.
Because then I'm like, I got to do another sale, another big sale, just to get money. And then I'm just like living on sale money. So it didn't seem like there were a couple of years there where I wasn't making that much of a profit. And people will see me posting these bomb cakes, having all these followers. Oh, you balling. And I'm like, no. So that was another thing, just not knowing how to price stuff right.
Gotcha. So did you ever think about like taking advantage of any business resources like SCORE or hiring a business coach to kind of help you price your items and stuff like that?
I did do a SCORE class, but I did one. I guess I should say I should have stuck with it because the first few classes I'm like, this is stuff I already know. Like, they was just telling you how to get your LLC, like, the different type of businesses. Like, do you want to be a sole proprietor? I'm like, I already did all that. And then they're like, this is how you get customers. This is how you get a target audience. I'm like, I know that.
Right. Let's get to the good stuff.
Right. I need to know business processes and stuff. I should have stuck with it because maybe eventually that's what they would have talked about.
Right.
But I will take accountability and say I didn't try hard enough to seek out those sources. So, you know.
Okay.
I know I have a lot of excuses why I didn't, but in the day, it's like my responsibility. Nobody else is going to come in and be like, let me take you by the hand and show you. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you ever consider or would you consider hiring a business coach?
I would. Let me say I was considering it.
Okay.
I definitely wanted that in the past.
Okay.
Do I want one now? I guess I have to figure out what direction I want to go. Because now I'm kind of, with me moving into content creating, I'm not sure if I want to have a storefront anymore. So I don't know if having a business mentor, I mean, I guess a business mentor is always good.
Okay. I was just curious.
I won't say no. They can always teach me something. I still do cakes on the side part-time, so.
All right, so let's talk about this vicious cycle, right? So you were saying that you had to pretty much continue these sales in order to stay afloat.
Yeah.
So what did you do to kind of overcome that, like to get out of that cycle?
It was really hard getting out of that cycle, actually. I just actually had to take to get out of it, you just have to take yourself out of it, which means I just stopped everything and I just started working a job full time. Okay. And I took it really hard because I felt like I was a failure. But at the same time, I was like, sometimes you just have to take a step back and start at ground one again. So I kind of feel like this is my phase now. I work full time. First of all, I do love the job that I work. I work at a school. The other cool thing about this is when I came into the school, like, they knew I did cakes because it was on my resume. and I'm a secretary at the school. So I saw that they have after school clubs. And when I was looking through the packet of different clubs they had, I saw something that said like cooking and baking. So I was asking the lady training me, I was like, oh, they have like a baking after school class? And she was like, well, not anymore because the teacher who's doing it, she's not with us anymore. I was like, well, I have given lots of classes in the past. And she's like, oh, really? So I was just showing her my my Facebook page, and they went and showed the principal and the directors, and they were like, oh, yeah, the parents would love this. So I've been doing after school clubs with the kids at the school since I've been there in August. And the cool thing about how they do the after school clubs is they let you charge the parents since it's an after school activity, and you keep everything.
Nice.
So that's a cool way to make money.
Okay.
So and I appreciate them for letting me come on there and kind of do my own business thing. And so it's like it's a really big school, so I'm doing the clubs with the elementary side, and they have this big preschool side. So now the preschool teachers just recently told me like, oh, we want to do one with the little preschool kids, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
So they're like all really supportive of my cake endeavors, and then they've had like a big few events, and I brought in cakes there, and my thing is I volunteered the cake.
Right.
So I wasn't thinking about any sort of business promotion, but they're like, no, bring your business cards, flyers, blah, blah, blah. These parents, they will want you to do their cakes. I was like, oh my goodness. So I've had parents now who like ask me to do cakes for them and stuff like that. So it's just crazy how, you know, I'm thinking I failed and I did this pivot and my business is still just pushing. So, you know.
Well, it sounds like you're repositioning yourself. So you're saying, hey, these orders came in, I had this sale, and because I had the sale, people paid for their cakes a year in advance. I'm using this money to pay bills, and next thing you know, I had to have sale over sale in order to catch up. Eventually, I went into this vicious cycle. Once I got everything done, you're saying you left, went back to work for a time, hit that reset button to say, okay, hey, I'm still going to stay into cakes.
Yeah.
So you dropped down to part-time baking cakes or making cakes. Then you went into teaching kids how to bake.
Yeah.
And then based off you hitting that reset button and still keeping a hold of your passion, the parents came in. They saw what you were doing because you were teaching. And then the parents got interested. Now you're back where you were when business was really booming for you.
Yeah.
So
but
I guess
this
the question,
time there's no stress, like the stress of having to take so many orders to pay bill. Like I don't have that anymore.
Okay.
So now I'm like, oh, I don't have room this week, guys. I'm so sorry. They're like, oh, it's okay. And I have a life. I can enjoy, you know, a free time now. So I mean, those are all pluses. So that's why I appreciate now where I am.
Okay.
So sometimes it's cool to just take a step back for a second if you're getting too overwhelmed.
No, that's good. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because it's going to, and I say this all the time, it's going to help the young Shanna out there who's looking to grow her baking business or her cake business because, and I think we should talk about this too, sometimes people, they start something and they see success and they immediately jump into it without actually looking at everything that's included in business, right?
Yeah.
Like everything from a financial standpoint as far as the personal side, the business side. Obviously, you had the marketing down. You had the skill down. But all of the other parts, business acumen and operations that comes along with that.
Exactly.
And it also shows that you were humble enough to say, okay, look, I have to scale back because there's a lot of things that I didn't know before jumping into this.
Right.
And now you're going back into it, which you never stopped. But you're saying, okay, hey, I'm going to slow down, take my time. If I have the capacity to do orders, I'll make the cakes. If I don't, I'll let them know, hey, I'm at capacity. I can't do it. I'll let you know when I have an open schedule. So right now, your business is still operating, correct?
Yes.
Just on a part-time basis. And you're teaching part-time or full-time?
Well, part-time, I should say. Okay. The after-school clubs are once a week.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you have these events, you attend these events, you're handing out business cards, you're handing out flyers. When it comes to scaling your business again, are you open to that or are you just going to keep it on a part-time basis?
I'm Honestly, I would really, if I could have my way, I would prefer to be more of a content creator.
Okay.
I still enjoy doing cakes, and maybe this is the part of me that is still kind of fearful and hurt over what happened, but I don't know. I can't see myself going full time at it again.
Okay.
Unless I had a squad, I would not do it again unless I had a team who was just as passionate about it as I am. So, or the Lord just taps me on my shoulder and was like, we're doing this again. But I would want to, like, have a concrete plan, like, know what I'm doing. I wouldn't do it again unless I did have a mentor and I got some guidance so I could do it the right way the next time.
Gotcha. So let's talk about, you said when you first started, there were 5, I don't know, I can't remember what you said, basically 5 people that made custom cakes in Columbus, right? That was back in 2012?
Yeah, like in 2011, 2012,
Okay.
custom cakes was like kind of just coming on to the scene.
Okay. So would you say you have a lot of competition now?
Well, I'll say it's heavily saturated right now. Like there's a lot of people like are in the cake industry now.
Okay.
But my thing is I never really looked at it as competition. Because one cool thing about me starting early is I got a lot of loyal customers in the beginning who stayed with me, like, no matter who else came in to get, like, they want me to do their cakes, period.
Okay.
So I do have a lot of loyal customers. But I just never really look at other bakers as competition. I kind of just look at it as, like, just having, I guess, I don't know, friends or whatever. People who kind of get it that we can, like, talk to in the inbox, like, girl, guess what? I like going to other bakers, like, we'll be like, what would you charge for this? What would you charge for this? I mean, I've had a couple bakers who, you know, don't like it for no reason, but I think that's in any industry where they you know, feel jealous or, you know, like they're scared that you'll take their customers or something. But I never really had that fear.
Okay. So what would you say, as of right now, set you apart? If you're saying that market is saturated, outside of having the loyal client base, what sets you apart?
Honestly, so I'm not even going to say that it is my skill. I'm still just honestly going to say it's, I just have such a heavy online presence and heavy engagement with people. And you don't see that too much with a lot of business owners, because you'll see their business, but you don't see them. So you don't know the person behind the cake. And I've realized that people are more comfortable doing business with people they feel like they know. And it's funny because so many people feel like they know me.
Okay.
They're like, I just feel like I know you because I follow you. You posted. But they don't.
Right.
But that makes them more comfortable to do business because they, you know,
okay.
I have just such an online presence and I post all the time.
Right. That personal connection.
Yeah. But that's just me. I'm not saying everybody should do this because I know there's people out there successful and they're not, they don't post as much as I do. And that's, I mean, you know, everybody has their thing, but I think that's what works for me.
Okay.
It's kind of just been my thing. So, and that's another reason why I've kind of enjoyed doing content creating because I can do my little funny narrations on my videos.
Right.
That people laugh at. So, yeah.
So, moving into the content creation space, are you still going to bake and post your cakes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I definitely do. I still want to.
Okay. All right. So, give us a success story. Like, I'm pretty sure throughout all of this success over the last 10 years, that there was that one success story that stands out in your mind, like that one moment that you stand on, that you're just super proud of.
I mean, that would just have to be the moment of 2020. I hate saying that because that was like the worst year for so many people, but I was like, man, that was just like my best year.
Okay.
And it's so terrible to say. Like, you feel guilty saying it because for real, it was a terrible year. But that was when my business took off, and that's when my YouTube channel took off, and that's when Mobile Bakery took off, and I did have a nice amount of money coming in, and I wasn't stressed, even though I was working all the time. but I wasn't trying to pay bills. Like, I had the money. And I was on the news, all this other stuff. And that was the year I was like, oh, this is it. Like, yes.
Okay. So in that moment, 2020 being the year, which was a short time ago, we're talking about, 3.5 years ago. What year did you start the sales?
What year did I start?
Yeah, you remember you said you started to sell. People were paying you a year in advance, and then that kind of snowballed out of control.
That was so some of it had started before 2020.
Okay.
And then during that year, I stopped doing sales because I didn't feel like it was necessary. And then when the 2020 crowd started dying down, then I started picking the sales back up. So I would say like 2021 is when I started getting back into the sales mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you had to officially stop, at that point, did you still have the kitchen?
So the kitchen, I left the kitchen August of 2022.
Okay.
Because that's when everything was just, I was so overwhelmed by that point. It was so many orders coming in. And by this time, I was feeling down on myself because, like I said, I was taking so many orders in order to pay things that there were some people not satisfied. And, I have to give money back. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is have a reputation, because I know what word of mouth does for you when you're in a good space.
Exactly.
Like, I took off like crazy because of good word of mouth. And I was like, the last thing I want is word of mouth to start dragging me down.
Exactly.
I was like, so I have to cut back.
Okay.
So I left the kitchen because, for one thing, that's just an extra bill. And then it was just a lot with the building, with having people pull. I mean, because it's downtown, so there's not like parking.
Exactly.
So honestly, the building owners, they got on my nerves because I had so many people pulling up in spots that weren't supposed to be pulling up because there was no parking.
So they started complaining.
I got on their nerves, honestly, with that. I was like, I didn't know what to say. After I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back baking from home because it's gonna be less cost to me. I'll be in my own space. So I started going baking from home again, and I don't know, everything. I'm going to be completely transparent. In the 7 years that I've been doing cakes full time, I think I've had my car repossessed 5 times. I've gone into eviction twice.
Okay.
Luckily, because I ran sales, I got stuff back really quick. But this last eviction that I just went into, I was like, I gotta get a job. Because you know what? I done tried this. So I'm getting a job. And so I moved back in with my mom. So currently, right now, I'm with my mom. And so this is just kind of my bounce back time.
Exactly.
Where I'm relearning everything. I have a job, so I don't have to really focus on taking so many orders. I can focus on what I'm passionate about, which is the content creating. Stacking my money so I can get back out there. So this right now is like my rebuilding period for me.
No, this is really good, right? Yeah. So let's do this for a second before we kind of talk about that a little bit. How did you get comfortable? At what point did you say, I'm comfortable enough to quit my job? Like, what did that transition look like?
Initially?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you first quit to say, I'm going to go into cakes full time.
Okay, so honestly, I did not quit.
Okay.
They let me go.
Okay.
Because I was late so many times because I was staying up all night doing cakes. and I would always tell my boss, like, oh my goodness. And he honestly had so many heart-to-heart talks with me.
Yeah.
He was like, that's what you're passionate about. He was like, why don't you just do that? And I was like, I don't think I can do it full time. He's like, well, I'm going to be honest. You better figure it out because you're going to be doing it full time pretty soon. And it was hilarious. But I do want to say this. They loved me so much. They knew I was a good person. That when they let me go, they said, we're not going to put it down as us firing you. We're putting it down as you resign.
Wow.
That's how much they,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't say what job that is just in case that gets them in trouble. But that's what they said. So of course the whole company, this goes back to your other question about when your pivotal moment of success.
Okay.
So when I left that job, of course, everybody was like, "Oh, you're leaving so you can do your cakes full time." I was like, "Yeah." And I brought in like a celebratory cake for myself the last day. Of course, they're passing it around. And I guess they gave it to some of the higher ups and executives. So when I left after my last day, I got an email from the assistant of the CEO of the company there, and somebody passed her one of my cakes. So she was like, "Oh, this cake is amazing. We just heard you left because you wanted to pursue your passion full time." I was like, "Yeah." Right. And she was like, "I would love for you to do a cake for one of our executive meetings." It was her birthday, and I guess same day as her, one of their meetings. So I brought in like a wine shaped cake with like little fondant grapes and stuff, and it was real pretty.
Nice.
And then they loved that so much. She said, "This is the CEO of like a major company." She was like, "I would love for you to do my wedding cake coming up." I was like, "Oh my, I can't believe it." So, and that was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when I was like, things is really gonna take off.
But it's amazing. Like, there's a lady that has a cookie baking business. It's called ABC Cookies. She's been in business for about 30 years. She had the same story.
Oh,
exact
really?
same, almost like verbatim.
Oh,
she said,
wow.
She went to her boss and was like, "I'm done." She brought in some cookies. They loved the cookies. And she had a sale. She did wonderful in the sale. And she's like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm going to go start full time."
Yeah.
She left and she's like, "Okay, what did I just do?"
Yeah.
But she said her business like really blew up. She's been in business 30 plus years. She's in the Nationwide building downtown, on the first floor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you what I love about this interview. What I love about this interview is this is that type of interview where we get to really talk about the true challenges, because not everybody's going to have that nice, shiny success story, because aspiring new and existing entrepreneurs have to understand that there's going to be some rough patches. You can have a lot of success, but things can change at any point. But it's okay to take a step back, pick yourself up, and try again. I mean, to know that you went from trying it out to leaving your job, having a lot of success, and sometimes people don't plan for too much success. A lot of times we plan for, well, what if it doesn't work? But we need to plan for what if it does work.
Yeah. And that was a major thing, because sometimes you can grow so fast before you're ready.
Exactly.
And it's like, then what? How do you handle all these customers?
Right.
So,
you were super successful, and you're like, hey, I still have a lot of loyalty. I still have a lot of followers. So I'm going to step back, part-time, still teach, decide which way I'm going to pivot. It's not going anywhere. But if you do decide to scale, that you're going to have it well planned out, because you know where you went wrong. So now you could check the boxes on, yep, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. And you know exactly what to do to plan for the success this time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's some advice that you would give? Now, that advice could be from the things that you experienced that were learning opportunities, or from the successful moments, whatever it is you want to share.
Well, okay, so I'll say, if I could go back and do it again, I would be more diligent about getting some sort of business mentoring classes, something that taught me structure in the beginning, because I never really had structure. And I always kind of felt like I was doing my business willy-nilly. Like, I'm just going with the flow. And it would have been great for me to implement structure in the beginning, before things took off. So that was my pattern. So I would say, if you're really serious about wanting your business to take off and you do the right steps, to get some sort of mentor, a part of an organization who can kind of guide you along the way, instead of you just kind of on your own, just trying to make things happen. So
makes sense.
Yeah, and I will say, because I did try, but when those doors didn't open, I stopped seeking the help. So it's like keep being persistent with the help.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I know that you're just, doing the cakes part-time. Would you be interested in taking a class on business acumen, operations, and finance?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking because I'm a part of an organization and I'm actually in class myself, relearning a lot of that stuff just to keep my mind fresh.
Yeah.
So, but we could talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be super dope because they go through everything and it's very thorough.
Yeah. Now, and there's one little thing I want to add since you brought that up, because I've had just so many thoughts over the years when I'm, things are up and down and I'm trying to figure things out. From my perspective, I feel like, because, you have your creatives and then you have your business-minded people. And I feel like people who know how to run a business and understand the structure of it would be more successful, even if they didn't have the creative skill there, because they know just how to run stuff and make it happen and get the right people in place who know how to do those things. So sometimes I would see these people, who's really business minded. I'd be like, man, you could have my skill and really do this thing.
You ever thought about just having a number two, like finding somebody who would be, and I've heard this a lot, like you have a lot of people that want to be number one, but there's nothing wrong with being a number two, because the number two could be just as successful. Like you have, and this is nothing against you, right? What I'm about to say, but you have the creative, and then you have the operational brain. And with the creative brain and the operational brain together, to your point, is finding somebody who's willing to be that number two. I guess my question to you is, if you found that number two, would you be comfortable with giving them some equity in the business?
I would. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be a conversation. Because my whole thing is, I would just want to be able to trust that person. That they weren't trying to, just swindle me.
Exactly.
So if I really trusted them, then yeah. Because that would be a given anyway. You're helping me become more successful. So.
Okay. So I was gonna ask you something else. As far as balancing your personal life and your family life. So now you're working a cake business part-time, you're teaching part-time. So where do you find time for you between those two things?
Nights, weekends when I'm kind of done. Luckily now my Saturdays don't run as long. It used to be an all-day thing and I wouldn't be done until late Saturday night. But now my Saturdays, I wrap my Saturdays up around 2, 3 o'clock. So I still have time to rest. There's different groups I go to now, and
Okay.
I'm still learning how to come out of the hermit life.
Gotcha.
It's still a process. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what do you do for fun? You said certain groups. I mean, are these painting groups or?
I'm in the church now, so it's I have Bible study groups. That's good. different maturity groups and stuff like that.
Okay.
And on that note, one thing that kept me in the game instead of completely quitting is because I just knew from the beginning that God gave me this gift, because it's really just something that felt like it was just thrown on me. I mean, I was just such a natural at it really quickly. And because I know for a fact it was a gift, I didn't know what direction I were to go with it, but I knew that he gave it to me for a reason. Because he doesn't give you any gift just to, sit on it and not do anything with it. So that was always something I prayed about, what direction do you want me to go with this? Because I know you don't want me to just completely quit. So the fact that I went back to working full-time thinking that I failed, and I still have these cake doors opening up for me, that just shows me that I still want you to work your gift.
Absolutely.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
So how do you stay with the market being saturated? How do you stay up to date on the trends with everything that changes in the cake business as far as decorations and flavors and styles and all of that stuff?
I kind of just follow like a million other bakers, honestly. Like on Instagram and TikTok, you just kind of see, like I monitor the style and see how everything's kind of going. Like when I first started, fondant cakes were like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was like fondant handmade, and over the years you hear people say, "Oh, we don't like fondant," blah blah blah, and you start to see more bakers kind of push out buttercream cakes. Now they're getting really just advanced with like the buttercream techniques and things like that. Like now you see like these modern cakes that look like statues, so they're like different shapes, like on top of each other, like defying gravity and stuff. So pretty much it's like, instead of me wanting to stay with the in my skill range, even though it's cool, eventually that's going to start to look old fashioned. So it's like I want to start moving towards the modernized cakes. I was actually up last night on YouTube looking up how to do build the structure for it, like these big poles so you can stack your cakes on top of each other.
Okay.
So I'll be putting out some cool videos pretty soon. So yeah.
Well,
pretty much just watching the trend and just seeing what everybody else is doing, honestly.
If you ask me, it sounds like you're on track, because you have taken the unconventional path, the non-traditional path. You have experienced success, a lot of success. You've had some challenges. You've had to reset. You had to step back. Now it seems like you're super focused. You know exactly where you want to do, what you want to do, where you want to go. And obviously, God's backing you with your vision and with your passion. So you're all set. And I can't wait to see it. Yeah. Like, honestly. So with all of the beautiful work that you do, tell the listeners how they can get in contact with you.
You can follow my Facebook page, lovemeetscake. And that's the same thing as my YouTube channel. It's called lovemeetscake. TikTok, I'm trying to post more, but I do have some cake videos on there. My name on there is called Awkward Black Girl Baker. Just because, I'm quirky and I just gonna let people know right off bat. Okay? I'm a little socially awkward, so I decided to make that my name just so when people be like, oh.
Just being yourself.
Just being myself. But it makes people laugh, though.
Absolutely.
They be in the comments cracking up, so.
So they can still, submit orders, right, for cakes?
You can still order, yeah, if you're
You still
serious.
do custom cakes?
Yep.
Okay. All
yep.
right, perfect. Anything else you want to add?
Close
us out. Give us some closing words.
Oh, closing words.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to say, don't give up. Pivot if you need to. Take a break to reset if you need to. But, don't completely quit and bury your gifts. Keep at it. So, you never know who's watching you, because that's one thing.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Lovemeetscake. Where did that name? Yeah, where did that name come from?
So initially, so when I very first started, and you and other people was like, you should do this business,
right?
And I was writing out names.
Uh-huh.
It's like I was writing like, Shanna Banks cake, or I remember I had a notepad and I was just writing down just different like cake names.
Uh-huh.
And somebody was like, whatever it is, because I was running cake names past them. They're like, just make sure it's organic and fresh, like just something that stands out. And I was like, okay, because you see a lot of people say, oh, Tasha's Sweet Treats and Yummy Delights and bacon. Like everybody's name kind of sounds similar,
right?
And it came from, because I saw that there is a bakery and it was called Art Eats Bakery. And I kind of like that play on words. Mm-hmm. And I was just writing down different things. And I put Love Meets Cake because I was so in love with the art. Mm-hmm. And so in love with the passion. And then at the time, like I said, it was therapeutic for me because it was kind of like, doing the cakes was kind of building me out of a dark place because I was going through depression and stuff at the time.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of, I just felt kind of like God's love filled me. So the word love just kept standing out. And I wanted to play on words of love meets cake because it was just love meeting the world of cakes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's my name. So yeah, I think that's another thing kind of just stands out because it's not like your sweet treats and tasty treats.
That's true. So is it Love Meets Cake on YouTube as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you need to order some cakes, custom cakes, check out Shanna Banks, Love Meets Cake on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. She's given us some great information, shared some things that were really close, near and dear to her heart. So I'm hoping that somebody out there, the young Shanna, or somebody who's looking to start their business, already starting their business, and don't feel like things aren't going well, you can always take a step back, reset, and rebuild. But we want to thank you for joining the Let's Evolve for Tomorrow podcast, where we help aspiring, new, and existing entrepreneurs excel to the next level by inviting other aspiring, new, and existing entrepreneurs to the podcast. And we'll see you next time.